Headlines on our website, musicindustrycity.com. Just head to the latest Music News at Noon post to see all the articles we referenced during today's broadcast. You can also register for free to get unlimited access to all the articles, news, and events in the city. And you may also watch us live on the video stream right from the website or on the Music Industry City YouTube channel. All right, is everybody ready? We begin our countdown right now.
Hello and welcome. It's great to have you with us on this Tuesday. I'm Peter Schwing, and here's what's happening. The NMPA and Roblox settled copyright suit. Warner and Twitch ink a partnership. CAA to buy ICM Partners. TikTok hits 1 billion monthly active users. BT and Paul Oakenfold have new blockchain albums, plus our daily Spotify update. Those stories are coming up, but first, let's take a look at this day in music history. All right, normally I would throw over to Eli, but unfortunately Eli could not make it, and neither is our UK correspondent, Angela Randall. So I'm flying solo today. Please be gentle. All right, to celebrate those who have passed away in this day in September 1991. Considered one of the most influential musicians of the 20th century, American jazz trumpeter, bandleader, and composer Miles Davis died of stroke and pneumonia. In 2009, Lucy Vauden, the childhood pal of John Lennon's son Julian, passed away at the age of 46 after losing her battle with autoimmune disease lupus. She was the inspiration for the Beatles' track Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, written mostly by John after Julian showed his father a nursery school drawing he called Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, depicting his classmate. And this day in 2009, Adam Goldstein, who was DJ AM, he was an American club DJ and musician, died of an accidental drug overdose at his home in New York City at the age of 36. Celebrate those who were born on this day in 1902. Wow, that's a long time ago. Ed Sullivan, TV host from the Ed Sullivan Singers and Orchestra. He introduced the Beatles and other UK acts in America via his Ed Sullivan TV show. The Beatles' appearance on February 9, 1964 is considered a milestone in American pop culture. The broadcast drew an estimated 73 million viewers. And this day in 1938, Ben E. King, Benjamin Earl Nelson, soul and R&B singer with the Drifters, and he also had the #1 solo single, Stand By Me. In 1950, brought us Paul Burgess, drums for 10cc. 1977 brought us the U.S. rapper Young Jeezy, Jay Jenkins. And 1987, U.S. singer and actress Hilary Duff. And in this day in history, 1976, A&M Records sued George Harrison for $6 million over non-delivery of a new album after he missed the deadline by 2 months. Wow, now that's a lot of money for just being late. And in 2019, Metallica canceled their forthcoming tour to allow frontman James Hetfield to enter rehab. In a statement, band members Lars Ulrich, Kirk Hammett, and Roger Trujillo said, quote, "As most of you probably know, our brother James has been struggling with addiction on and off for many years. He has now, unfortunately, had to re-enter a treatment program to work on his recovery again." And that was in 2019. I mean, this is something that we really do need to look out to for our fellow musicians. There are many out there that have, suffer from addiction, and we have to look out for them and help them to be better. And that's what we can do. So with that being said, we are going to move on to set the stage for the discussion. We're going to provide informed perspectives and commentary on our current headlines. If you'd like to offer your thoughts on one of today's topics, you can request to join the stage. I'd also like to say hi to everyone viewing the show in our live video stream on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, and also directly from the musicindustrycity.com website. To stay up to date on this and other program, you can sign up at musicindustrycity.com for more news, articles, and events. And with that, let's get to it. All right, Billboard reported that the NMPA and Roblox settled copyright suit. They launch a music licensing talks. The National Music Publishers Association, NMPA, has settled its $200 million copyright infringement case against Roblox a week after signing a settlement with Twitch. The agreement reached on September 27th allows NMPA members to opt in to a negotiation period during which they can independently set up future music licensing deals with Roblox. NMPA President and CEO David Israelite said, quote, "We are extremely pleased to have found a way forward with Roblox as it continues to offer a unique platform for musicians and songwriters in the metaverse. Roblox understands that music has the potential to play a more integral role on its platform. I appreciate Roblox's willingness to work with us in pursuit of advancing the interests of publishers and songwriters and look forward to seeing how they expand virtual experiences through music." The arrangement clears the way for Roblox's further music business push. Sony Music Entertainment, BMG, and Warner Music Group all have relationships with the gaming platform. With musicians like Lil Nas X and 21 Pilots, it recently announced its first ever album listening party with Poppy. And in a statement, John Vlasopoulos, Roblox's general head of music, said, quote, "We are delighted to have to come to terms with select NMPA members, building on our existing relationships with major publishers." So to note, more than 48 million daily active users create and play games on Roblox and buy avatar accessories and other virtual products with real money. Players can buy a virtual boombox and then go to Roblox library to download a song snippets for a modest charge. And in order to get around Roblox's copyright detection mechanism, players would tweak songs' pitches, for example. To that end, the NMPA sued Roblox in June on behalf of over a dozen major music publishers, claiming the platform was hosting a massive library of unauthorized song snippets. Roblox said they're offering the music industry an opportunity. As most with technology, when the labels, publishers come after you, they're saying, well, we're giving you another opportunity to have your music out there, and here's some potential revenue streams. And then, like things like this happen after months and months of talks, usually a deal is struck. And speaking of deals getting struck, this is from Music Business Worldwide. Warner Music Group and Twitch Inc. first-of-a-kind partnership. I really wish Eli and Angela was here for this one because they know how I have been going hard on Twitch about not acquiring licensing deals and dealing with all the streamers. So this is a different kind of conversation. The deal with Warner Music Group will see the launch of unique content and behind-the-scenes footage for artists including Bella Poarch and Saweetie of Warner Records and Sueco of Atlantic Records. A unique WMG music venue with premium music-centric programming will also be created. It will offer professionally produced original programs curated by WMG-owned digital media business IMGN. And according to the media statement, the move empowers Warner Music's talent to tap into Twitch's unique creator-driven model, opening up additional income opportunities, as well as access to Twitch's fan engagement tools to get to know their audiences better. Warner's agreement with Twitch comes just days after Warner's CEO Steve Cooper announced that Warner's recorded music division generates $235 million annually from, quote, alternative offerings that create new use cases for music. And alternative platforms would include Facebook, Peloton, TikTok, and Roblox. Twitch has also established a new method for reporting music rights holders, including WMG, who mistakenly or incidentally use metrics in music in their streams. All right, more deals being struck, but this one is a buy. CAA to buy ICM. Yes, that is Creative Artists Agency is buying ICM Partners, which is going to reduce the big players in Hollywood to 3. So as with the major labels and as a Genesis album, and then there were 3. The deal should finalize later this year. Financial terms were not disclosed, but CAA executives Brian Lord, Kevin Huvane, and Richard Lovett explained the change. Quote, today's storytellers, athletes, thought leaders, and trendsetters can move, inspire, and attract large global audiences. The joint statement continues, the strategic combination of CAA and ICM bolsters our collective resources, expertise, and relationships to deliver even more opportunities for our world-class clients to build their careers in the brands across multiple disciplines and platforms in an evolving marketplace. ICM strength includes its book section and ICM Stellar Sports, which has offices in 10 countries and services over 800 customers globally. CAA deals in content, film, TV, podcast, speakers, and music. ICM reorganized its concert division in February, naming Mark Siegel Worldwide Concert Head, Robert Gibbs Music Head, and Matt Bates International Europe Head. The deal leaves WME, CAA, and UTA as the top 3 talent agencies. And according to WME, to CAA's portfolio provides majority owner TPG Capital another reason to go public. So this might be another company in the sector going public. So we're going to start. I mean, we've been seeing consolidation. We've seen we had years of expansion, and probably a good decade of expansion. Now what we're seeing is this consolidation, and this trend has been started probably about 18 to probably at this point 18 to 24 months ago. We've seen this with catalogs, we've seen this with labels, and we're seeing it now with other companies. We've seen this through agents, booking agencies, talent agencies for a few years now. It's ebb and flow. I predict this trend will continue for another few years. Moving on to changing of the names, E1 Music rebrands as MNRK. I'm going to pronounce that in a moment. Music Group. So MNRK Music Group, it aims to become a global leader in independent music. E1 Music announced the name change in a press statement. The new title pronounced Monarch. Yes, Monarch, like the butterfly, or Monarch like in Venture Brothers. All right, it's meant to celebrate, quote, the company's legacy as it transitions into a global leader in independent music. Aside from that, Monarch Music Group will now focus on recording, publishing, and artist management. President and CEO Chris Taylor continued in a statement. He stresses Blackstone's incredibly well-resourced nature with $684 billion in assets under management of Q2 2021. He continued, quote, our migration as a premium destination for music talent takes a giant step forward today with a new name and new owners that are incredibly well-resourced and as excited about the opportunity as we are. We are ready to fly. The move comes as the big 3 record labels, Universal, Sony, and Warner, all had double-digit revenue increases in 2021, and the world's 4th largest music company, BMG, recorded double-digit revenues growth in the first half of 2021, as did Reservoir and BTS agency Hive. All right, we're going to move on to, let's talk a little about tech. I mentioned this in the morning show, the 11 o'clock show. We were talking about opportunities for artists, and there's so many different areas for generating revenue, so many different platforms. It's hard to keep on top of everything. The focus, there's 2 focus, like get fans to pay money, get people to pay money, get sponsors to give you money, get people to stream, get the streaming services to pay you money. But we're looking at this era now of cutting out the middleman. Well, is that ever going to truly exist? I don't think so. But there is this area where you have a lot of this really DIY is really becoming DIY, where you have distribution platforms. Now you can have your own distribution platform. You can white label a platform. And that means you don't have to use DistroKid. You can actually create your own platform and just set it all up. So these are these consolidations of different types of platforms and making them more user-friendly for DIY musicians, content creators, artists, is something to keep an eye out on. So this one is from Single Music, and this is from Platform and Streams Medium. And if you want to read more into this or any of the articles, you can go to musicindustrycity.com and click on the latest today's Music Industry News at Noon post, and it has all the headlines, has links to all the headlines that we are just I'm referencing. So this one is Single Music unlocks the power of video for 1.7 million Shopify store creators. A year with no live shows and no income streams, Single's video streaming technology helped artists sell nearly 1 million tickets and create $23 million in revenue. Single wondered what would happen if all 1.7 million Shopify creators had access to the same content monetization tool. Authors can now sell past events as rentals and use interactive chat elements, as well as sell products and bundle tickets. Creators of all kinds, including comedians, influencers, sports, and authors, may use Shopify to launch events, rent content, and package live stream or rental events with real items. While the technology behind live stream events like Def Leppard's recent All I've Got Is a Photograph live chat may seem frightening and complex, it is simple to use. Signing up for a live video event or on-demand rental is straightforward. You test stream, set up sales data, and publish. Yes, it's that easy. Single is a prominent competitor in the video streaming industry, competing against branded platforms like Mandolin, Veeps, and Moment House. Go on to say quote, there's a gut reaction from musicians to use third-party platforms because that's what they know. However, Single believes that there's a better way. This way, they get the best of both worlds. Their brand is front and center. They own the platform they are sending their fans to, and product purchases are far more likely. They deserve the credit and the revenue for the art they create, not us. So it's interesting, it's something to take a look at, especially as an artist. I mean, you look at like the Patreon model, you look at, going back to what I was talking about, white label distribution. If you have something you can sell, merch and things like that, and a Shopify, you can put live streaming into it. These are great opportunities. Yes, is there a learning curve? Of course. Is it another platform to learn? Yes. But so, we have decision fatigue, confusion fatigue of like, what do I do? Which platform? Where am I going? What do I want to do? Sometimes it's best to really just step back, take a step back, take a deep breath, and look at some of these platforms and say, hey, something, this might work for me, and go in. Like, sometimes you have to take the risk of saying, let's go in on this one, or going hard. It's like, let's make this happen, or to, just simply test it out to get your feet wet. So it's up to you. But I encourage artists, especially in this day and age, to stay on top of these these platforms that are more beneficial or you have more control over. All right, let's go over to digital music news, and this one is TikTok hits 1 billion monthly active users across the globe. And that's with it being banned in a few countries. All right, in January 2018, it reached 55 million global users. As of December 2018, that number was 271 million. In December 2019, TikTok had 508 million users. In July of 2020, TikTok had 689 million active users globally. And then in August, saw the 2 billion TikTok download. I mean, talk about a hockey stick curve of growth. Facebook, in comparison, has 2.9 billion monthly active users in June, so TikTok is quickly catching up. And that's without Google's search engine analyzing TikTok posts. The information media outlet reports that TikTok and Instagram posts will soon be searchable. That's awesome news for creators. In the case of TikTok, Google executives have been secretly talking with ByteDance, and in the case of Instagram and Facebook, in the face of increasing competition regulatory risk, Google is working to keep its search engine relevant with more users. Indexing TikTok and Instagram content alongside YouTube videos would ease regulatory pressure on Google. For now, any video-related search displays YouTube links as the top results, which is an antitrust-wise. As a result of indexing TikTok and Instagram content, such sites will gain prominence from the generic searches. For Google spiders to correctly index TikTok videos, a transcript of the video's content must be provided. Text and metadata are everywhere. So if you're on TikTok, get ready and start getting the transcripts. I mean, this is great to hear that Google will now be indexing Instagram, and TikTok, and I'm sure more to follow. But it's also going to make your Google searches a little more cluttered. So, we'll see how this works out. And again, if anybody has any thoughts on any of today's topics as I'm going through, feel free to raise your hand, join the stage, and offer up your thoughts. All right, keeping on with the technology news and future music thinking. BT and Paul Oakenfold put blockchain at the head of their new albums. This is from Music Ally, and I love the crew over at Music Ally. Sometimes I don't even rewrite it because they're just amazing, and also just love Sometimes they have some great snark. Sometimes they're just great about being able to tell a story. So since the earliest days of blockchain hype in the music industry, electronic music artists have often been the first experiment with technology, particularly those who are most tech savvy and who control their rights. This all ties in, going back, controlling your rights. This allows you to tap into other platforms when you have your rights easily. So there are two new examples this week. First, trance legend BT is releasing what's described as the world's first programmatic album designed from the ground up for the blockchain. It's called Metaversal and is being released as an NFT. The album plays differently if you listen to it in the day, at night, or during a full moon. And there's a cryptographic treasure hunt built in for fans. It allows BT's Jennison.json project in May, which was also sold as an NFT, to follow along. The Metaversal auction kicks off tomorrow, that's September 29th. In separate news, veteran DJ Paul Oakenfold's Starship Universe project is releasing thousands of NFTs with blockchain from Cardano, including an album. Crypto News reported, quote, every aspect of the event from the cover art and sleeve notes to the tracks and remixes will be put on the blockchain. I love this stuff. It's confusing, but once you figure it out, once you understand it, it's a different world. And, getting your own domain, I have now schwing.eth. So if somebody wants to send me Ether, you just type in schwing.eth. And that'll take you right to, you can send it to my MetaMask. And also, Music Industry City, over the other day, last week, we minted our first NFT. I wanted to see, I'm like, what does it take to mint an NFT? And, well, since I did it on OpenSea, it takes a little bit of money, I found out. A little bit more than I was expecting. But once you get that initial out of your way, it's kind of, I would probably equate it to a setup fee. You're good to go. So it takes some time. You want to get, you have to be able to get Ether into a MetaMask wallet, but then you set up your OpenSea account. We made an NFT. It's on the website on musicindustrycity.com. It's on the right column, and it's our stinger. It's the audio stinger that we use for our YouTube videos, and it's the 2021. It's this kind of thing. We made a little cute animated GIF, and we pressed it so we have 10 copies of it. So if you want to be the first to buy it, I mean, it's probably like $6. I think it's probably the equivalent of $6 or $7. But if you have some Ether, it's probably 0.0003 ETH if you want to check it out. So it's on musicindustrycity.com. Just click that graphic and it'll take you over to OpenSea. But yes, we did it. After all these months of talking about NFTs, we finally did it. All right. And moving on, we have a Fender. This is a contest. So this is from Music Radar. Fender offers unsigned artists chance to win time at professional recording studios. For the first time, Fender is giving unsigned musicians the chance to win 10 hours of recording time at a professional studio. The artist tracks will be judged by a panel of experts, including Nile Rodgers, Wolfpaint's Emily Kokel, and Ashley McBride. Fender says the project was sparked by the recent launch of its Player Plus electric and bass guitars and involves partnering with premier recording studios in the UK, Ireland, Australia, Japan, Mexico, and the US. In addition to being on the judging panel, Fender CEO Andy Mooney said artists at every level of their careers can benefit from Fender's Players Plus studio sessions powered by Fender. This program is intended to kickstart their artistic careers and inspire them to pursue their dreams. Applicants can be a band, instrumentalist, or solo artist as long as they are over 18 and can travel to the nearest studio. In addition to the 10 hours recording time, players will receive on-site engineering assisting, a £400 equivalent mixing grant, Player Plus Series gear, and guidance from industry experts like Ari Herstad, who just released a free Fender Artist Playbook to help aspiring artists succeed. Now, Rogers went on to say, quote, I'm passionate about nurturing new artists. It's something I've done all my life. As a producer, it's very exciting to provide undiscovered artists with the tools they need to speak through their music and not just play. The Fender Player Plus studio sessions are now accepting entries through October 20th, and winners will be notified on November 10th. You can find all those links to submit and everything else and where the studios are in the participating cities. It's in the article, and you can find that article, musicindustrycity.com. Click on today's music industry news at noon. Sorry, I just got a little tripped up there. And it's our favorite time of the day.
Big green dot. It's the spot.
That's right. It's the Spotify spot. And we're going to have a bonus article after this one. Normally I wrap after the Spotify spot, but I have a thought. I have a piece that was coming from Variety and Jem Oswald put out there, and it's a question, and it's an interesting question, and I'll keep it open for conversation if anybody would like to join in. Of course, if anybody wants to talk about any of these topics, have some thoughts, feel free to raise your hand. We'll bring you to the stage. All right, Spotify, and this is from the Wall Street Journal. Spotify kicks off campaign to win more advertisers. Yes, and the reason this is tying in, it's not necessarily specific to music related, but it ties into something that we've been talking about for, I'd say, probably 2 years now. Spotify Technologies launches first worldwide brand campaign to lure marketers as it seeks to increase ad revenue. Spotify is also renaming its advertising division Spotify Advertising from Spotify for Brands to appeal to small and medium-sized businesses as well as major brands. The lack of inventory has slowed the expansion of the ad marketplace, so it's aiming to recruit more podcast publishers and creators. Small and medium-sized enterprises as well as DIY creators are also included, according to Jay Richmond, the vice president and head of global advertising business and platform at Spotify. The campaign will run in markets including U.S., Canada, UK, Australia, Spain, and New Zealand, using digital video, social media, and audio ads on and off of Spotify. Ads show people walking or floating around in bubbles with the message, "Reach the most immersed audience." Spotify, here's some interesting notes, stats here. Spotify is likely to surpass Apple in podcast listenership. According to eMarketer, Spotify will have 28.2 million monthly podcast listeners by the end of 2021, compared to Apple's 28. And according to the Interactive Advertising Bureau, U.S. podcast ad revenue climbed 19% to $842 million in 2020, and it will hit $1 billion this year. So anybody that's also talking about doing some podcasting, these are the type of numbers. They're talking about $2 billion, doubling it by 2023. And according to some research, 116 million Americans currently, that's 41%, currently listen to podcasts monthly, which is up from 37% in 2020. Granted, anything in 2020 should have an asterisk next to it. So just remember, you hear these stats from now, like year on year, anything with 2020, just remember a little bit of grain of salt, a little bit of asterisk, because things changed drastically in listening, consumer listening behaviors. So, and one of the things that they also said, here is the thing, this Colin Colburn, a senior analyst at Forrester Research, said advertisers long viewed Spotify as an emerging player in the broader media and marketing space, but have increasingly considered among the major platforms that use as streaming music and podcast listening have grown in popularity. Here's the key. We've been talking about like Spotify. Spotify is no longer a music streaming platform. Spotify is a fully integrated and going more vertical entertainment platform. They have video on there. They just haven't even rolled out what they really can do with video. They are constantly testing out other areas. So being able to have the podcasting, they have with Green Room, it's not integrated directly, but it's tied in. You're going to see these things change with Green Room, integrating with Spotify, this radio. I would also put it out there that Spotify, with this advertising campaign, might go the way of what Clear Channel, well, iHeartMedia, but also with Clear Channel advertising. They have their own, they own the boards out there. So, they own the real estate out there. So I wonder, this might be interesting. Spotify being able to actually just own property as well, and then being able to push music through that as well in their podcast. So a lot to pay attention to there, and especially if you're a podcaster. All right. So that wraps it up for the reads. Except for this one, I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock here. And if anybody, I'm pulling up this article because it's an interesting conversation that happens every few years when something like this happens. So if anybody would like to offer your thoughts, feel free to raise your hand as I'm reading this. I am going to go through just really quick. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but some of the points on here is directly from Variety Magazine. Jem Aswell brought up a great question. After the guilty verdicts were handed down and there's more to come, should R. Kelly's music be banned? And Jem makes a great statement in here. So to tie this all together, so R. Kelly was found guilty of a New York jury of multiple counts of racketeering and sex trafficking, with more trials to come in other jurisdictions. The question is, will his music be taken from major streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music now that he's been found guilty? Many of the same moral, legal, and logistical issues arose 3 years ago when Spotify attempted to sanction Kelly's music by removing it from its official playlists, while still continuing to host his music catalog on the services. As the sexual misconduct allegations against Kelly grew, Spotify attempted to implement a playlist ban policy against music containing quote-unquote hate speech, such as a song with racist lyrics and hateful conduct directed at an artist or creator's personal life, plainly targeting Kelly. Many pointed out that Kelly had not been found guilty of anything, so why should his music be punished? Shouldn't XXX Tentacion songs be banned too? Spotify added those songs quickly. But what about Phil Spector's music? A convicted killer who produced and co-wrote several early hits in the 60s and 70s. Since then, Kelly's music has been absent from most, if not all, of Spotify playlists, at least audibly. Later in the month, Spotify co-founder and CEO Daniel Ek stated that, quote, "We rolled this out wrong and we could have done a much better job." Also, a year earlier, the indie rock band Power Bottom had its music taken from streaming providers and made virtually unavailable. So what changed? Problems with legal and logistical issues arise. While streaming services own the music they host, the music is submitted by rights holders, usually record labels. Following the claims against Power Bottom, the band's label withdrew their songs and management dropped them, leaving them with little recourse. Then, what you want with My Body was removed from streaming services after Lady Gaga said the allegations against R. Kelly were, quote, absolutely horrible and indefensible. Her label Interscope agreed, as did the streaming services. So the question goes, should it stay? This raises more difficult moral and legal problems. A ban on Kelly's music would be censorship, and any metric used to support it should be used against others. But where does one draw that line? Which leads, and this is directly from Gem, which leads to the main point. Great art is sometimes made by horrible people, and whether or not a person is morally comfortable consuming that art and earning money for that horrible person is up to them. So does anybody have any thoughts on this? I mean, it's a moral question. And we got some people coming on up. Yeah, let's bring this up. Let's open up. I mean, this is every few years we get this, and it's a moral question. Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah, hi, Peter.
Kevin, how you doing? Dead Air, you're up first. What do you got?
Yeah, hi, Peter. Yeah, I don't think there should be a president. There shouldn't be a standard put in place for this. I don't think that you should remove their music to be unavailable at all on these platforms. What I think we should do is allow the stuff to still be out there. When Spotify puts together certain playlists, like daily playlists for you or selected items for you or this, they just don't put those things in there. They still leave it available for those who want to listen to it. And then we as a society should harshly judge the people that still continue to listen to those music and stuff like that. We judge people poorly for still being fans of Woody Allen. Well, then we should as a society continue to judge people who are going to be fans of R. Kelly. I'm kind of on the understanding of people who can separate the person from the art. Okay, cool, go for it. I'm not going to listen to his music. I don't want to play his music. I don't want to listen or associate with anybody who wants to still listen to his music, and that's fine. And I think they should still be allowed to have their ability to listen to it. But we as a society say, hey, yeah, if you're going to continue to listen to R. Kelly, you suck, and I don't want to hang out with you. That's my personal opinion.
All right, thank you for that. Dead air. All right, Kevin.
What's good, Peter?
That's a good word.
Yeah, on this, I'm kind of like, just let people make their own choices. Like, I don't think it's right necessarily to take someone's art away like that, because you can decide to listen to it or not. You know, like, I think all of us here, at least if you live in the United States, you know, like, we all follow the Constitution, we respect it. That's what the country is built on. And Thomas Jefferson is And the founding fathers were way, way worse people, bad people all around. I'm not saying R. Kelly's not a bad person, but we're talking about people who owned other human beings, raped them, pulled their teeth out, and like made dentures for themselves, sold people away from their families, you know, and like that's what our country's built on. And we still follow all their stuff. We have monuments of that. So I'm like, I think that people deserve the ability to have autonomy over their own decisions so they can choose to listen or not. And then that will decide how people feel about it.
And it's an interesting point because one of the points in this article also, and again, this is from Variety. And if you want to see the full article, you can go to musicindustrycity.com, click on the Music Industry City, Music Industry News at Noon, that link there, and I'll have all the links to the headlines. And he goes, Jem says here, to put the situation in its most extreme light, Adolf Hitler's manifesto, Mein Kampf, is widely available for anyone to read. Even though proceeds from its sales are donated to Jewish charities and organizations, at least on Amazon, its message of hate remains, as do countless thousands of other hateful screeds. People easily can buy them, and guns and cigarettes and many things that are much more harmful than a song. So do they get to, now here's the thing, if you are a CEO of a company and you get arrested and you're convicted of a tax fraud or something, you are not allowed to be CEO of a company again or something like that. They can sue, and you are not allowed to collect any monies on this. Is that another way to go? Like, hey, R. Kelly's not allowed to collect any more royalties on the songs, and they have to be donated to a charitable organization of some sort.
Yeah, I think that is a good way of going about it, and taking something that went terribly, horribly wrong, and putting it towards a good light. I'll remind you of, I think last year, maybe 2 years ago, Green Day put out a song called "Oh Yeah," which samples Joan Jett. I think ACD, or not ACD, samples one of Joan Jett's songs that samples Gary Glitter, or it's her cover of a Gary Glitter song, one or the other. And they sampled that in their song, and they said that because Gary Glitter was such a terrible, horrible, awful person for having for being convicted of having sex with being a pedophile. Those are the words. They said that they're donating all the proceeds from the sales of this single to RAIN, which is a group that helps individuals who have been raped and are victims of incest and stuff like that. So I think they went and said, hey, look, we love this Joan Jett song. It's unfortunate that after she put it out, the person that she was associated with has now become a monster, and we still love her song. We don't want the backlash to come on her. We used it to make something better, and we're going to take the proceeds instead of profiting from Gary Glitter's monsterality. I'll make that word up, and we're going to use it from now. That is the function of being a monster, is monsterality. Instead of us profiting from it, we're going to do better with it, and I think that's a great way to do it. I don't know if it needs government intervention because I'm not a huge fan of such things. However, I think if we start to applaud the people who try to make things right and try to do the right thing, such as Green Day with "Oh Yeah," that may become a way that record labels can see, hey, let's keep the backlash off of us, let's keep the heat off us, while also doing something that can make the world a slight bit better.
Every direction, it opens up a lot of questions. Can open up Pandora's box. It's a slippery slope. There's no easy answer to this, or there is an easy answer to this. So I want to get final thoughts. And if anybody else, before we're going to wrap up, if anybody else has some thoughts on this topic, wants to raise their hand just before we wrap up. We're going to have about 2 minutes left. Kevin, did you have anything? Any final thoughts on it?
On that, no, I really think that people should be allowed to make their own decisions. There's so much stuff that's like just governed. Yeah, and I don't really know how it works in other countries. I just know in America, we're freedom fighters, so to say, and I just feel like you should just keep people free and allowed to make like their own choices.
Kevin, I don't know if you know this, but Spotify is not the government, and they are not makers of the Constitution. So anything's in the Constitution does not apply to Spotify or record labels or industry. It strictly says the Constitution is strictly rules and operating procedures for the U.S. government.
Yeah. I'm not even saying that. Like, I understand private business can do what they want to do, right? I think it's more about the precedents that it sets, because I think culture in general, we just tend to move towards what is most commonly accepted. Like, there's a whole bunch of people who were against slavery enough to go to war for it, but it didn't stop it from being accepted just because it was the norm, right? And employment functioned off of that norm. So look at right now, right? Like, women, right? It wasn't like it was like a ban, like women cannot be CEOs of companies and stuff, but it becomes a norm. And once that norm gets created, it becomes very, very difficult. You almost have to then instate laws to try to protect people that are marginalized. And like, I just feel like it's a slippery slope, and I'd rather stay on the side of more autonomy than less.
Thank you. Rachel, what are your thoughts?
I see both sides, and I think it's just really important to have the conversation. So thank you, Peter, for bringing it up and having a safe place for discourse. But I just also wanted to mention about the show, the distribution that you talked about, I think is really, really intriguing for indie artists. So that's something that I'll be looking into for sure with the white labeling and whatnot. I thought that was super interesting to dive into.
Yeah, thank you. It's something that's definitely keep an eye out on that because we're paying as artists. I mean, you're paying services, whether you're giving them whatever their model is, like they're either taking a percentage, or you're paying a distribution platform to have your music up there. It's like if you're paying a year per album or something like that. And then what are these options and these other type of white labeling services? And also, you're gonna have to look at the fees on that as well. I mean, there's always that's why I say the middleman will always be there in one way or another, unless you're typing in the 30,000 lines of code for yourself. So it's just something to keep an eye on. So thank you, Rachel. All right, I think we are going to wrap up. And again, yeah, Rachel, it's a tough conversation. And when I saw this article Jem put out in Variety, I was like, this is an important discussion. So thank you, everybody.
I see. Yeah, thank you, Peter. I see both sides. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Great.
Yeah,
definitely, Peter.
Can I make one last point?
One last point.
Yeah, the one last point I was going to bring up is what's scary about putting in a precedent, whatever. You know what the word I'm trying to say
precedent.
I'm not
yes.
great. Yes. Putting that in or putting in rules and regulations for something like this happens is it will ultimately be used against the people that it should not apply to. Look how a bunch of years ago, how the entire music industry turned on the Dixie Chicks for being against the war in Afghanistan. We all now agree it was a waste of time.
Just about to bring that one up. Yeah, so for anybody that might not have known about that, I mean, how many years ago? That was
20 years ago when the war started. Yeah, I think we just celebrated the 20th anniversary of Afghanistan.
Yeah, it was like 18 or 19 years ago, and they spoke out against the war, and basically they were banned from radio. DJs were fired for playing their music, going against the radio station manager's requests. I mean, it was crazy, and you saw a correction with the Dixie Chicks, that it was the following year they won the Grammy. Did they have the best album? I don't know, but I think the Grammy voters wanted to make sure that it was that they were, given some acknowledgement. So with that being said, thank you everybody for a great conversation. We are going to wrap up. And again, feel free to spread the word about and visit musicindustrycity.com to stay updated on all the current happenings in the music industry. You can post in the community and access other amazing resources. And that does it for the music news at noon on this Tuesday from New York. We'll see you tomorrow. And thanks for watching. I'm Peter Schwing. And for all my colleagues and everybody here, have a rockin' day. Cheers.